So I do about $1 to $2 million in construction sales. So I'm selling roofing, solar, patios, painting, windows, ADUs, anything that in regards of just construction in a home residentially. That's my bread and butter.
Welcome back to the Business Playground. This is your host, Jacob Odell. And today I have the honor of speaking with Chris Morales, who him and I have met at the gym when we were about 3 years ago, I want to say almost, which is weirdly enough, 3 years ago has gone by for that. But Chris is an awesome guy. We met at the gym, didn't know anything that he did, but turns out he was in construction sales and he has done over 8 figures in construction sales, which is really awesome, especially for the young age that he's at. And he was a 6-figure earner before the age of 25, which is a really cool feat for a lot of people who do dream of having that. So, and he's also got a couple other businesses that are going on the side, which we'll get into. But Chris, thanks for coming on to the show, man.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here, to be part of the whole Business Playground, getting it off the ground, man. I'm proud of you. That's crazy. It's really been 3 years because you really got me. When I met you was when I was barely starting the whole construction sales and I was getting my feet off the ground. And it's like, it's been a whole entire journey. You caught me through. When you met me, we were at the gym at 5 a.m.
Yeah. We were at Crunch at 5 a.m. and you were starting up the Mo Money stuff. Yeah. That's what you were doing at the time.
Yeah, so that was the whole different brand that I originally started at that time, Mo Money. And dude, that's crazy. I used to get up at 5 a.m. just to go to the gym and then still drive an hour to work all the way to like Torrance just to like start my day and a whole hour back. Like it was a whole mission. It's so, I don't know if you see time the way I kind of see time. It passes by so fast and so slow at the same time. And when you go through a lot of these like hard struggles, I like to call them, it makes life interesting, I would say. So, I mean, from the moment I started that whole money thing, it's been a whole entire trend that's been building to like where I'm at today. And I mean, I love my life and I love where I'm at today and I love where I'm going. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I love it, man. And break me down some of the businesses that you're running through now, because I know that Mo Money isn't necessarily Mo Money anymore. Yeah. It's kind of transitioned into your personal brand and what you've been doing with that. So run me through that, but also the stuff that you've been doing as your actual income for the moment.
Got you. So what I used to call myself a contractor because that's what I was and that's what I do. So I am technically a contractor. I found a new term to kind of call myself now. It's called more of a solopreneur for the moment because it's like almost a one-man team and I have a bunch of different partners. But my main source of income is construction sales. So I do about $1 to $2 million in construction sales. So I'm selling roofing, solar, patios, painting, windows, ADUs, anything that in regards of just construction in a home residentially. That's my bread and butter. So I tend to focus on that mostly, like almost every single day, and trying to get my own thing off the ground by getting my own license and doing that. That's my main source of income. Through my first successful year of being in the construction sales, I managed to save my money and invest into the ATM business. So I bought a portfolio off of somebody that brings in passive income because, as we all know, we all need passive income so we make money while we sleep.
Right.
There's so many different ways to make money now that I see it all. But I found that the ATM business was best for my personal being just because of time and money and the time that we just got into with the whole 2020 stuff going on. So I started off with like 4 ATMs. Now I'm up to 10. And hopefully next year I double that. And then I just started off the whole personal brand because personal branding and content and just being out there is the next wave, I personally believe. And a lot of people, from when I start looking at my friends, I'm always the person that people come to for advice. They always ask me, do this, do that, or like, how can I do this? And just figuring stuff out, it's fairly easy to me. So when it comes to doing all these many things, I don't have time to teach people. Like I don't have time to go on a one-on-one, which is the best way to learn altogether.
Of course.
So I figured might as well just work on the personal brand. And it's always something that I've always wanted to do. And when you originally met me doing the whole Money Mo, I felt as if I was going through the whole imposter syndrome thing. Where you're just talking about this, to saying this and doing that, but you haven't really achieved anything. And that's why I took a break off of making content, like a whole entire like year and a half.
Yeah, I remember
from
that.
making content. And I follow like a bunch of different people, and Alex Hormozy kind of like caught it like caught it back in my mind, in regards of just go do something first, and then once you do something, then talk about it.
Yeah.
So that whole 1 year and a half, I went to go do something. I sold over $1 million. I made 6 figures. I bought an ATM. I have passive income. It's not wholly up there, but I'm also just 25.
Yeah.
You know, I still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
If I figured by the time I'm 30, 35, like you could it's going to be a whole different like question. Like I'm already off on a good start. So I might as well just document my route to
Your journey.
that age.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the 3 things that I'm focused on, and that's the only 3 things that I want to go ahead and do, and that's it.
That's awesome, man. How are you managing your time with all of that stuff going on?
So a lot of my businesses, I get to manage my time whenever like I want to. A lot of it is self-discipline. Like if I don't work, I don't get paid.
Right.
So in regards to the construction sales, it's a funny story even going into it, right? Like when originally like you met me, I was working for this company who was doing over $12 million. They had over like 12 reps. And I was like the new guy. Like people don't realize in my industry, the retention rate is about 10%. Meaning if we had 10 like sales reps, only like 1 or 2 are going to survive. And I've been through 3, 4 different sales groups where I've seen that trend.
Really?
Because it's hard. Like what I do is easy for me, but for a lot of people, it's hard. Like I still remember when I first started, when I was like the 3 years when I met you, like I was struggling. Like it was hard to learn all these things about construction, learning sales and doing all that. Like it's really hard. And I remember going in there and there was like people saying, oh, you can make 10, 15 grand. And I'm like, no, like I don't believe it. Like you can't make 10, 15 grand. And even like one of the guys that I knew at the first company, he showed me his check and he made like $10,000. And I'm like, there's no way like you made $10,000. And that's the thing with a lot of people is that they don't believe it's possible because it's never happened to them. And I remember like the whole like COVID thing started, and like 3 months into it, like the company just started like, I was new, so they started like not giving me leads and giving it to the rest of the other people. And it was kind of like cherry picking. That company was a lot of cherry picking. And once people realize getting into business, there's a lot of people who want to do business the right way and a lot of people who don't because they're selfish and greed and all this extra stuff.
Of course.
So I basically lost a job, and unfortunately, like the way I kind of run my life is I try to treat everyone with respect, and I try to like earn my respect and trust towards other people. And there was this guy who he kind of like grew fond of me, and he wanted to teach me, and he told me, I still remember it to this day, where like right before COVID started, it was my birthday, and he gave me a call. He's like, hey, leave that company, come with me. And I'm like, no, like I'm doing great. Like for me, I was making like $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and it was like the most money I've ever made.
Right.
And I was like, why would I want to leave? Like I have it good here. And then everything happened, and I'm like, oh, shit, where am I gonna go?
Right.
So then I reached back out to him. He's like, okay, cool, come. So I went over there, and he kind of was teaching me the right way to sell. And he took me under his wing, and he taught me everything that I know about selling. I was basically his mini-me. And then I struggled for a couple months. Like I cried a couple months just trying to like figure it out. And then it all clicked one day. And then I started bringing in like $10,000 months. And COVID took like 6 months of my whole entire thing. And in the next 6 months, I made 100K. So in 6 months, I made my first 100K. And that was crazy. I was That's like, awesome, what? Man. I got my $10,000 check, and I'm like, dude, if I can do this, like, yeah, it's possible. And now it's like fast forward to today, where it's not that I'm hoping like I have to, like there's no way, like I need to make $10,000 this month. That's like my base minimum. Now I'm chasing 20 to 30 months, and the reason why I know those months are even possible is because I had a $30,000 month one time. So it's like if I can do it one time, I can do it again.
You can repeat it, man.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of live my life in regards of like, you think it's impossible until you actually do it.
Of course.
And that's what a lot of people kind of lack, is just the belief that something is possible.
Yeah, I feel like we have this huge struggle right now. I mean, especially with my generation and my age, and I've dealt with this too, of, you know, that imposter syndrome, where I feel like we know we can do more. It's just when it comes time to actually doing the work, we all just sit back and we're like, let's just get comfortable here.
Yeah. So and that's basically what happened. So going back to the original question of how I delegate my time, it comes down to like discipline, right? I have to do certain things at a certain time, or else things are not gonna get done. And that's how people don't live their life. Like, I wake up at 6 in the morning every single day, not because I want to, but it's because I have to. Because if I don't, then I have less time throughout the day to do everything else that I have to do.
Right.
So the way I set up my schedule is I'm doing the same thing Monday through Sunday, 7 days of the week, almost every single hour. And if something comes up, then it's in the schedule. So everything's already pre-planned. Like, and that's what most people don't go too deep into it, where they have their whole entire schedule planned out.
Right.
And mine is pretty much planned out, where I wake up in the morning, I go to the gym, I come back, I do my whole morning routine. Construction sales from like all the way from 10 to like say 7, 8 p.m. sometimes. I come back home and I work on the whole YouTube channel. My ATM business is a lot more passive, where I only work on them Monday through Friday. Like Monday or Friday, that's it. And then besides that, everything's ran through my phone. And that's why I found it like the best investment, because I could run it through my phone.
Right.
And then the whole YouTube stuff, I'm giving up my weekends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving up my weekends where like I'm not partying as much. I don't go out. I don't hang out with like friends. Like, I'm writing scripts. I'm like editing and I'm recording and I'm planning out. I'm like figuring it all out on my weekends. So it's like my whole entire 7 days are all dedicated to like where I want to go.
Right.
Don't have time to like go out to the park, go out to the beach, which I do sometimes, but majority of the time I'm always working.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like work sometimes. That's the crazy part, is like I call it work, and it is work technically, but it doesn't feel like work. Like, say for example, this is technically work. I know I need content just as much as you need content, and creating content is work. And even like I started looking at like people who want to create like YouTube channels or even podcasts and all that. Like, you have to realize that it's work, and as long as you treat it as a business, then it's gonna take off at one point.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think that you definitely, from the last time that we actually met, which would be at Crunch, I can just see this different persona about yourself, where you were kind of more of I don't want to say shy, but you were more of like I want to say like a cocooned butterfly, you know, like you weren't there yet. And now that I'm looking at you, you seem a little more happy, a little more pep in your step, I'd say. And you got a little more drive than what you did in the past, I think. And that might just be because you have had these experiences along the way that have, paved that path for you. So I just want to applaud you on that, man.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it. And honestly, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. Heck, I'm not the person that I was beginning of this year. Like, this whole year alone, I grew so much. It's insane. Like, last month, I went to Florida, and I literally just packed my bags in less than a week and just flew out there, not knowing anybody, just risking it all. And it was a good move and a bad move at the same time. It was a bad move financially. Like, I lost over $10,000 going that route. Money that I'm never probably going to see again. And then, but I also gained a lot in regards of confidence, in regards of just knowing the fact that I can do it. Like, this is easy. And I'm grateful to where I'm at today, because like going through Florida, the whole span of what I've been through for the last 5 years, I went through in 1 month. Which is sleeping on multiple beds, sleeping on the floors, sleeping like cars, like just not like figuring it out. It's so like I learned it in 1 month, and like that's why I wanted to come back, because dude, I'm in a really great place. Like, I'm like I can't complain. Like, I can't. Like, life is happy, and that's why some people see me now, and it's like in the morning, like at 6 in, like when I go to the gym, like I'm one of the happiest people there. Like, I'm dancing. Like, I'm literally like, I love working out. Like, I get the whole dopamine hit, and like people can tell like right off the bat. Like, I'm really happy. Like, people, and it sucks because a lot of people aren't. And like I try. That's why I build up the whole personal brand. And I'm trying to that, because I think we can all get there. We can all just be naturally happy of wanting to wake up and wanting to live and just getting another opportunity to play the game. Yeah,
we get to do these things. We don't have to do these things, and it's just the perspective shift that I've been going through as well. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now I want to transition back into the sales aspect of things, because I feel like that's just super valuable, because a lot of young entrepreneurs don't know where to get started in sales. And I feel like having a mentor in some shape or form, whether it's online, in person, whether it's your dad, your uncle, or a friend, right? Having that mentor is a huge advantage to anything in sales. But I want to know what is your definition of sales?
The way I look at sales is something that everyone needs to know, because sales is around us every single day. When you meet somebody, you're practically selling yourself on the fact that you're a good person and you're a good friend. And that's what people don't really dive deep into. Everything is sales. From the moment you talk to somebody, from the moment you're reaching out to somebody, you're just convincing someone that they should get what you have to offer. That's it. It's not, there's like all different types of sales, but that's the easiest way that I can kind of convince it, is that everything is sales. It's just getting someone or influencing someone to get what you are offering. And you can offer whatever it is that you want, you know?
Yeah, man. Sales is I'm reading books on sales right now, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot of things that go into it, whether it's psychology, your body language, eye contact. There's just way too many things to talk about in one sitting. But I'm curious on what should somebody know before going into sales?
Something that someone should know before getting into sales is that you're gonna struggle. That you're gonna struggle. So one thing that's always thrown up in the air is the fact that there's people who are natural born salesmen and people who can be trained. I think there's both. I think there are some people who are just naturally good. Like for me, I would say I'm a little bit of natural and a little bit of a lot trained. Like there's the guy who taught me sales. That guy is like, he's good. Like, and he's been doing this just for a really long time, but you can tell like the way he talks to people, the way he carries himself. When I go to the mall with him, like it's just weird how he can just pick up conversation, and I can do that too. But like, I know my limits, or I don't even think I have a limit. It's just the fact that I'm still young and I'm still learning.
Sure.
So there's so much to sales that it's an ongoing topic altogether. So knowing the fact that it's hard, and then you're gonna have to consistently learn, and really what it comes down to is the same thing as the gym. Like your reps. How many reps are you getting in? Right? Like, are you talking to people? The more, like, I follow this one guy whose name is Bradley. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. So people don't talk to enough people. You start building these relationships, you start talking to more people, you're going to finally realize that it's a lot easier to talk to people than you think. And I think people just don't put themselves in that situation where they're talking to people.
Would you say that that's just talking to people is the best way for them to get out of their comfort zone?
Yeah. Yeah, I would literally say so. Like if someone did not have, let's say, for example, sometimes people come to me and say, oh, I don't have the confidence that you do. I'm like, I didn't have this confidence. Heck, you saw me 3 years ago. I didn't have the confidence that I have now. My confidence is up the roof right now. But I trained myself to get here. If I were to, you can do it on so many different levels, right? You can either start it on ground zero and you can baby the person, or you can throw them in the water. I think throwing them in the water is the best way to do it.
Same.
So if someone told me, hey, like I want to get my confidence up, cool. I want you to go to the mall, and every single person that walks in front of you, you say hi. Just introduce yourself. You're going to get a bunch of no's. And then you're going to get like one person maybe saying you yes. It's all the rejection that you go through that's going to build you up and realize that the worst thing that someone can tell you is no.
Whenever I'm out in public and someone sees me having a conversation with a random stranger, once that conversation is finished, because I will say I do have that natural confidence that a lot of people don't. And I can almost pick up a conversation with just about anybody. I love talking to strangers. And every single time after that moment or that conversation with someone, and say I'm with a friend, they're like, dude, how did you just make friends with that random stranger? That, that 65-year-old man who was walking in his walker, and how'd you do that? And I always just realized that people want someone to talk to, and these are just people. They're not like afraid to speak with you unless they're having like a horrible day. Their car blew up. They don't want to speak to anybody. They just want to have a normal conversation. And a lot of people are really open to conversation as long as you're not being weird, creepy, and stuff like that. So the rejection aspect, you're going to get no's, but most of the time, people are more than happy to have a conversation with you. And that's just going to continuously build your confidence and reputation up within your moral self.
Exactly.
And I think that you're hitting that nail on the head right there, man.
Yeah, I mean, you said it pretty much how it is,
Mm-hmm.
man. Like I think it's a lot of it has to do with like technology and us being on the phone and
Yeah.
living through our phones that we're continuing to lose that physical like connection with a lot of people or that communication. And we're gonna see it a lot in our generation. We do see it a lot in our generation, where we're not accustomed to talking to people, and it's just weird. Like I have a bunch of family members. I remember I went to Utah for Thanksgiving, and I went to GameStop.
Okay.
And dude, now I just talk to everyone like no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I could care less what you think. And then the girl at the cashier, you know, it's the easiest way to like break an ice with somebody is you get that question, right? Like, hey, how are you doing? And then everyone answers it the same way. Oh, good. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah,
the
simple
most
one-liner.
basic.
Yeah.
I have completely changed that line for me all the time, and I get the same reaction. And that's another way someone can just take this and like do what they want with it. But someone never asks you that. I tend to say amazing, living the dream. Like those are my two go-to. Every single time that I do that, the energy changes because people feed off of energy. People know when someone else is happy. People know when someone else is actually like glad to talk to you or glad to live. Nobody wants to talk to someone that's just having a bad day or like is just low energy. Nobody wants that.
And are you seeing right when you say that, you know, I'm doing amazing?
Yeah.
And you just see them like they snap their head.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, all right, cool.
It happened today with I had a call earlier this morning with I'm in a bunch of like Facebook groups, and next year my plan to getting to the next level is building relationships. So I had a call with someone who reached out to me because I've been like, you know, I've been giving free information on the ATM business online, and someone reached out to me saying, hey, do you want to take on more work out here? Let's hop on a call. So I called them. The missus was like, you know, she was cool and all that. And then the husband comes in, he asked me like, hey, how you doing? And I told him amazing. And then right off the bat, like energy changed. They were happy to talk to me. Conversation started flowing. And it's just a matter of one word.
Yep.
People can feed off of that. It's all energy, man.
Dude, yeah, I feel the most important thing that you can do as a human being, and I've preached this on some of the videos that I've posted, is smiling.
Yeah.
Like the smile, even if you don't think you got a good smile, man, just smile because it brings so much joy, even in like the darkest times. Like you see people even in the gym and they're just like locked in. And sometimes I do this, I can say, but when you don't smile, you are putting yourself down in a way, and you're eliminating that confidence altogether.
Yeah.
And so whether you're hopping on a call with someone, you're meeting them in person, like, dude, just give a nice little smile, even a smirk.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that'll work, but show some teeth. I think that's very important and valuable in life.
And to just take it like one step further is, let's say you don't have a good smile. Then you go fix it. Like I didn't have a good smile. I went through braces. I went through 2 times braces, and then I widened my teeth. Once I did that, almost every single time I meet someone, like someone compliments my teeth. When I go to my appointments at work, the first thing I do is I smile.
Yep.
Like I smile. Like I know I have a good smile now, but that's because I paid for it. Like I paid for my braces. I paid for all this whitening stuff because I know it's like that beneficial thing. Like it goes a long way. And now every single time I like meet someone, I smile.
Just smile, bro.
Yeah.
Just smile. You got a good smile. So
Thanks,
it looks
man.
good, man. Now, I want to transition into the actual like life, money aspects of it, because we can do sales, but I feel like you have a lot to add just about life, because like we were talking about, you had this like, I would literally say a 3-year period where your life just went totally flip side, where you were like, all right, I got to figure something out. So I want to know what was one or a couple, what was a failure that you went through where you were like, I wish nobody else would go through this, but I'm so happy that I did.
The only one thing is, it's like I would tell people not to do it, but at the same time I would. It all depends on risk tolerance. Like my risk tolerance is crazy. Like I am a gambler. Like I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like I'll go skydiving. I'll go bungee jumping. I've gone skydiving. So even the way I play business, like I played the high risk tolerance. The ATM business is high risk, and that's what people don't realize. So I love playing that game. For some people, it's not. So right before I got into the whole construction sales, I was working at T-Mobile sales. And that's when I found out my skill in life is sales, talking to people, communicating. But I knew I was always going to be capped there. I took a trip to the Bahamas. After being one of the top reps at T-Mobile, I got a free trip to the Bahamas, and that's where everything just kind of like this is what I want for the rest of my life. I want to be able to travel. I want to live like luxurious. And
Yeah.
when I started talking to a bunch of these reps, they were like, "Oh, I'm making like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000." I'm like, "Dude, I'm barely capping at like 3, 4. Like, how are you doing that?" Then I came back all motivated, trying to like pump like all my like coworkers, and I realized it wasn't there. And then I listened to a bunch of people, and they're all like, just take risk when you're 20. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I quit. So I quit T-Mobile. And it's funny because at the same time that I quit, the company T-Mobile, it was owned by a third party. It got acquired by another third party. So they let go of a bunch of people. And everyone got like a severance package. And I quit because I quit. So I didn't get no severance package.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start my own like marketing company. So I started doing the whole marketing, like social media marketing, what is barely taking off. And I got like one client at the time, but I knew nothing like whatsoever, nor did I have the confidence, nor did I really know how to sell. So I went through that whole entire path for like 2 months, and I was going like almost broke. And that's when I realized, okay, like I need to figure something out. So then I asked myself, okay, cool. What am I good at? So I'm good at marketing, I would say, and I'm good at sales. Sales, I have a history of winning. So let's just look for sales jobs. And I went on Indeed and started applying a bunch of sales jobs, and that's when I fell into the whole lap of like the construction stuff. So the thing that I would say is when you're transitioning to another job, don't like just quit that job. So work that job until you secure your other job. Or say, for example, this, right? You have a job. I wouldn't say go all in on this. Use that money to fund this.
Right.
And then don't just gamble it.
Sure.
Especially if you don't have the risk tolerance or can't consider the consequences. Like I don't want it to happen, but if it does happen, like I wouldn't be upset if I go bankrupt playing the game that I play.
Right.
But it's because of my risk tolerance, and some people don't have that.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want to go bankrupt myself. But,
Yeah.
I've also not been on this earth long enough to understand everything that comes with it. And I'm still learning it as well. So I want to know also how has money changed your perspective on life itself?
Ultimately, when it comes to money, we all need it. We can't ignore it, right? A lot of people say that, money is the root of all evil. And like at one point, yeah, it can get so high where like it just doesn't make sense how much money you make. But we also like, heck, I would rather be making the money I make now than 3 years ago. Right. So my life has completely changed altogether. Like with my family, with my friends, the way people see me, everything is all because of money. And I've cut out a lot of friends because of money at the same time. So the way I kind of see money is, one, like because I got my $10,000 check, I know that one, money's not real, and that you can make it literally out of anywhere. Like if I wanted to, and this was my glass, and I sold it to you, and I sold it for $10, that's $10 that I made out of nowhere.
Exactly.
So you can make money however you want. That's why getting to all these really big numbers, it's not impossible. So we have to understand the language of money, learn how it's like made, learn where you can invest it, and really learn the truth behind it. Because like nowadays you have a lot of people online saying do this, do that, and you can make certain amount in like 90 days or things like that, which is possible, don't get me wrong. But a lot of times, like, I live off of the rule where if it's too good to be true, then it's too good to be true. Making money is fairly easy. We all need it. I'm sorry to say, if you don't want it, then that's fine. Like, I'll take it.
More for me.
Yeah. I'm not like, I don't think I need to be like crazy rich. I'm not driven by money, but it's a game that we play, and like people in the business world, that's how we keep score.
And you just mentioned that, as you started to acquire more wealth, you started to cut out some of the people in your life.
Yeah.
So run me through that process of, you can't just literally go, all right, this guy's gone, this girl's gone, my mom doesn't support me, she's gone, you can't just do those things. So how does that accumulate over time where you said, all right, this is, I need to make this change in order for me to grow? And how did those conversations, pan out? Or did you just say, all right, we're done?
Well, it's you don't really say them. You'll soon realize that you're kind of going to go through that age, and we all go through that age. This is how I see life, right? When you go through high school, cool, you have your high school buddies. Majority of the time, you're going to go to college, and you're going to be stuck in this school bubble. But let's say you go to college, you're gonna be stuck in that college bubble. Once you graduate from college, you're gonna slowly realize that everyone's living their life, and you're gonna slowly like get away from your friends, and that's why relationship is really important. Knowing how to keep your friends and being like knowing how to be a friend is fairly important. But you're gonna realize that some people want different things, right? A lot of my friends are still young where all they want to do is just party, go out, do all these things. I don't want to do that stuff because I am a long-term thinker. I'm thinking 10, 20, 30 years in advance.
Right.
Where I can't afford to do this now because I realize that once I'm older, I'm going to have less energy, less time to do the things that I really want to do. So it's not even having those conversations. It's just that I don't think you're chasing the same thing that I'm chasing. I'm just not going to talk to you. If you want to talk to me and you want to like discuss going the route that I'm going, hey, I'm more than happy to like talk to you about it. But you're going to slowly realize that most people don't have the same intentions as you. And if you don't, you can clearly see it. You can clearly see it by the way how you live your life. Like people know I wake up at 6 in the morning. Yeah, you're more than welcome to work out with me at 6 in the morning. Are you willing to like work out? Like my buddy who I'm like kind of teaching him and consulting him, who I literally helped start his own like on like his fitness business. Like he came to me, asked for help, and I knew he wanted to go down the same journey. And there's very few people who want to go down that same journey. And it's like, that's why I don't really like focus on like old friends. I focus more on new friends, and I reach out to them and be like, hey, like, looks like you want to go down the same route. What do you know that I don't know, and how can I help you?
Yeah. And what's a conversation starter for those random people that you're just meeting?
Usually it's just a matter of like, it depends, right? Majority of the people that I know is all through online and that's why I believe personal branding is fairly important, because you can show people what you're really about and what you're into, right? If you don't show online content, the only way I'm really going to know that is by having a conversation with you. And sometimes you can have those conversations, but you'll notice that a lot of people in this world are like, it's going to be hard for them to just open up to anybody. So you have to earn your trust, and, you have to basically provide some type of value to them. Say, for example, at the gym, some people, you see them every single day. You don't know what they do.
Right.
It took me a while for me to like realize, even to the gym that I go out and meet some people like, hey, like I know what you do now. Like, how can I help you? And now you build connections just by like just being there. So it slowly comes out. But people, when it comes to like business altogether, when you get to a certain level, you realize that you don't want to waste your time, because a lot of people say they want to do business, they want to like live a better life, but they don't really mean it. Like if people put themselves in my shoes and realized how much work I do, like you wouldn't want to do the same amount of work that I do. It takes a lot of sacrifice.
It's just a facade that people are telling themselves.
Exactly. And then the people that are doing it, like you can tell they're doing it, and it's fairly easy because you'll see it, the way they talk, the way they handle themselves. It's easy. So you can just tell that's how I like. You can like, for example, you like like you're barely starting this out, but I know you got it. Now it's just a matter of like, can you keep up? Like, do you have the stamina to keep going? That's the thing that people don't have. They don't have the stamina to keep going.
Yeah, no, I've been struggling with that too, man. Just juggling everything where you're like, do I really want to do this? Do I not? And yeah, dude, I've had all those, ups and downs that a lot of other people are having. It's just whether you keep going forward with it, every day, take that advance.
And that's one thing that I believe is a skill that most people don't have, that I am gifted, that it's called self-motivation, right? Like a lot of people, like I have a buddy of mine who kind of does the same thing that I do. And he just started like a couple months ago, but he calls me every now and then to get like, he has the doubt, we all have doubts, but some people can't get over the doubts themselves. So that's where a coach comes in,
right.
Where that person tells you and like motivates you to kind of keep going. And that's why I believe like going like to seminars and conferences are good, because they give you that little like dopamine of like wanting to push forward. Once you like learn how to give yourself that dopamine every single day, it makes going through these little cycles fairly easy. And I've taught myself how to like push myself even though I don't want to do something. And that's just seeing the long-term goal and just having that self-motivation in myself.
You talked about personal branding with yourself and with the people that you know. But oftentimes, or at least now what I'm seeing, and I think what a lot of other people are seeing, is it's not who you know, but it's who knows you.
Yeah.
And with that personal branding comes people reaching out to you. Like you said, you had your personal trainer buddy, he's reaching out to you. You're not saying, hey man, I can help you out with this. And there's that kind of shift in that personal branding where everybody was saying, of course, you still want to go out and meet people and shake as many hands as possible because that does give you the upper hand. But by creating content online or even just doing, seminars, webinars, whatever you're doing, you're putting your face and your voice and your eyes and your ears in front of other people for the opportunity to connect with you.
Yeah.
And right there, that person could be a sale, that person could be a connection, that person could be a relationship even.
Absolutely.
And it just trickles down into everything that you could ever want. But it's that just switch of actually doing it.
Yeah. So that goes back down to, like, say, for example, the ATM call that I just had today. Like, I've been actively, like, commenting on the ATM, like, Facebook group that we all have. Like, it's a really big Facebook group, like, over, like, 700 members. And new people from, like, veterans, all sorts of people from all over the country are on this page just asking questions, helping each other out. And some people don't realize that there is an advantage to, like, being in communities, especially like that, but it can also be a disadvantage if you're not taking advantage of it, if that makes sense. Like, say, for example, if you're in a group and you're not doing in that group, you're just listening and not participating, then you're not really getting the full efforts of it.
Right.
And I realized that. So I started commenting more. Like, say, for example, Christmas Day, I made a post, like, who else is putting money in their machines on Christmas, like Eve? And then I had a bunch of people, like, just message me back. And now I'm like, if someone has a questions, I'll go in there and I'll answer it. I have people DMing me now because they see me that I'm active on there, that I'm actively trying to help people. So if you're actively trying to help people, people will reach out. And since they see your face all the time, they'll be like, oh, this guy actually can help me. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying, like, oh, how do I do this? How do I start that? And then I had this one girl the other day who, like, say, oh, like, I live in LA, like, I want to go ahead and start my ATM business. And then I just shot her over to my YouTube channel. Now she became a subscriber, asks me questions every now and then. And it's like, just like that, just putting yourself out there. So
nurturing that lead in a way,
exactly.
That's how I've actually started to think about a lot of people, is think of them as a lead for your life, right? And how you can nurture them. Like, take us for an example, right? Like, we've been nurturing this for 3 years just to have a conversation like this.
Yeah.
And innately, we weren't planning on having a podcast session together, and nor did that pop into either one of our minds when we first met. But at that moment where we were like, you know what? Our goals are aligning, morals are aligning. Maybe we should do something together, man.
Yeah.
Like, and that just leads you into this nurture phase where you can bring them down a funnel in a way. And because people are funnels, and you can, it's sad to say, but you can control people's lives and manipulate them into what, you want. Yeah. But you can also help them by manipulating them in a positive way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that nurturing phase is exactly what you're doing on the Facebook page. It's exactly what I'm trying to do with the podcast. Is I want to nurture people. I want to help them out. I want to bring value to them. And I want to put my face out there because I feel like in about 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a huge shift in my life that this is all going to culminate and just spark forward.
Yeah, that's basically, that's the whole thing with, like, branding. It gives you a lot of credibility, I would like to say. It's helped me even out with, like, say, talking to girls. Because, like, now you post all these videos and, they'll see that, oh, this guy's really about, like, doing what he says he does, trying to be successful. And a lot of guys do, too. They see it like, okay, this guy is actually, like, trying to help. This guy's actually doing it, and he's consistently doing it. Like, eventually that switch turns onto their head that one day when I do, say, drop, like, a course or I drop the product, people are more than willing to buy it. Heck, I have a bunch of people already, like, saying, like, if you drop a course, like, I'm going to buy it. But it's just, like, I'm waiting for a little bit later to, like, give enough value to drop that. And it's, like, a lot of things that I know altogether is just that I've been on this self-improvement journey for 8 years. Yeah. Like, I've been reading so much. I've read more books than most people have altogether. And there's people who have read more books than I've had. And, like, I'm trying to get to them. The only thing that I value the most that most people don't is knowledge. Like, I make good money, but you'll realize that I don't spend a lot of money on, like, clothes, cars, and all this stuff. I spend money on courses and, like, knowledge. Yeah. Like, I'll drop $2,500 instantly on something that I think is valuable in regards to somebody, like, knows something. I drop that money fast, but people don't. I ask them, like, how many books have you read? How many courses have you bought? Most people say, like, 0. And I'm like, if you're not going to, you don't value knowledge yet. once you learn how to value knowledge, it changes the game real quick.
Yeah, invest in yourself.
Yeah, basically.
There's that saying that Alex Ramosi put out with don't invest in the S&P 500, but invest in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think that people need to change their mentality about, is because your mind is literally the thing that controls everything that you do.
Yeah.
But, and I'm guilty of this too, is like I let my mind control me rather than I control my mind. And I've fallen into that roller coaster cycle multiple times, and I feel like I'm like right at that pinnacle moment where it's like, all right, man, you know, almost to say it cliche, but like new year, new me in a way of where it's like, all right, I've started this journey, but like this new year, I feel like is just that it's going to send me over the edge of like, oh my gosh, and I'm going to just go down that slip and slide, and it's going to be so much fun, and we're about to have a great time. And that just comes down to me and my mentality and me controlling my brain.
Yeah. So what I would ask you, what are some things that you've struggled with?
Yeah, man. So a couple of things that I've struggled with is definitely, you know, being young with like pornography, dude. Like that's definitely one of the biggest struggles that I had growing up. And so right now I'm at that moment where I'm like, dude, this is like so bad, so bad. And so I've cut that out entirely. And so I've been looking forward to, I mean, Iman Ganji, you know, of course he does the whole monk mode stuff. So I've tried that before. I did it for like 20 days and it was really good, and then fell back into that cycle, right? And then it's just like, it's that roller coaster, up, down, up, down. And so now I've actually been able to control it a lot more. And so I feel like, especially once I really overcome that addiction right there, that's just going to skyrocket. So I would say that's definitely the biggest problem that I've had.
Yeah.
And that I feel like has held me back personally and mentally, because that just, I feel like your brain thinks of like 18 plus images and videos more than it does about knowledge and wisdom, because it's ingrained in you at that point.
Well, if you're talking about pornography and all that, technically the male species thinks about sex 85% of of the time, compared to like women who barely think about like once every 2 weeks. So it's like something engraved in us. And then the fact that you work out, like, dude, your testosterone levels are off the roof.
Yeah.
Like my testosterone levels are off the roof. Like, it's just crazy. The way I've kind of been able to control it is just by keeping yourself busy.
Exactly.
Like, that's it. You keep yourself busy, you do things, you ignore it.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to, just keeping yourself busy.
Yep, because the number one trigger is boredom for that. Like when you're bored, you're like, well, I got nothing else to do. I might as well do this, you know? And I've talked to my friends about it, and they have the exact same issue. And it feels like almost every single guy has this exact same issue, yet nobody talks about it because it's almost shunned upon.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with like testosterone levels altogether. But I mean, you can also just find a girlfriend. Find a girlfriend to kind of take advantage of all that. That's basically what I have done in the past. But then it's like, that's a whole can of worms that, you know, having a girlfriend is it's tough, especially doing this whole business stuff. Like some girls just don't understand it. I've struggled with that. I'm struggling with that right now. You know, eventually I do want to like get a wife and all that, but I would say it's the time it's going to be when the time presents itself. But you know, it is what it is.
From business to porn, here we go. That's the whole conversation here. Well, I do want to wrap some stuff up, but I want to hear your advice for someone that's, say, my age right now, where, you know, of course, you had something that you were doing at my age that was probably completely different, right?
Yeah.
But what would you say to a 19-year-old who is trying to get started in business, who's like, you know what, I'm eager, I'm driven, my parents might not support me, my friends might not support me, people call me crazy, but I'm driven and I have this mind that is set on something, I just don't know what it is. How would I go figure that out?
The way I kind of see it is, first, you need to figure out what you want, right? Like, you need to really have a deep conversation with yourself and figure out, what is it do I want? Like, and I live my life the way with the 4 pillars of the good life, right? Being successful in your health, your wealth, your relationships, and just the happiness factor. Having all those 4 aligned. So when it comes to like health, right? Think about it. How healthy do I want to be, right? Do I want to be a massive bodybuilder? Do I want to be just a regular Joe Schmo? Do I want to be like athletically fit? For me personally, like I answered that question. I want to be athletically fit. Like I want an athletic look. That's what I look for. Now once you figure that out, and then you ask yourself, okay, how do I solve that problem? How do I do that? Well, what do you have to do? You have to eat well. You have to work out. How do you do this? How do you do that? You start asking these questions. It's all about problem solving.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to figure out that. Then you figure out how much money you want to make. Some people don't ask themselves how much money you need to make.
Yeah.
Like I've ran down the cost of like where I want to live. Like I want to live in a luxury condo. That's the next move. Luxury condo. That's gonna run me about $3,000 to $4,000. Right, $3,000 to $4,000. I'm probably gonna get a nice car. That's gonna be another $2,000. So that's 1. That's 5, 6. Then I have insurances, all that. You write down all the list of expenses, and you figure out your number. My number right now at this point is anywhere from 20 to 30 grand. That's like the number, and it's gonna be crazy because I know I'm gonna get to that number. Then it's not gonna be enough because that's what happened when I got to 100K. When I got to 100K, I was like, this is not enough. And I've heard it from other successful people. You get to that number, it's still not enough. I think 20, 30K is okay to like be living. That's where they say life is like you're living life. And there's a couple of different variables for that. So you ask yourself that question: how like successful do I want to be? Kind of life. You figure out those numbers. Then your relationships. Like you have to. The way I look at it is you have to learn how to be a good brother, a good son, a good friend, a good business partner, a good everything in regards of like just relationship. And a lot of it is like you have to initiate it. So once you figure all that out, what you want, then you just got to go ahead and just try things. That's what people don't realize. You don't try enough things. And just getting the knowledge. That's really it. Like read books, go on YouTube. I think the easiest way to do everything is just go on YouTube and literally just type every single question. Instead of like wanting to my time, go on Google, go on YouTube, and just type in all the questions you've ever had. And just for a whole entire year, just focus on working on yourself and asking questions. That's how you start. And then once you do that, I think the best job that anyone can take on is just getting a sales job. That's going to let you to just learn how to communicate. For me, I got my sales jobs in T-Mobile. And that's what allowed me to like open up communication, learning how to like just do things. Plus sales is easy. At least for me it is. Doing that. And if it's not, then do a bunch of other things. Just trying. Just literally just trying to do a bunch of different things. And people don't realize that a lot of this is just Googling. Like you want to go ahead and make 6 figures, Google what jobs make 6 figures. Heck, you can be a truck driver. You can be like a construction worker, some construction worker. You can do so many different things. Like making 6 figures is not hard. At least for now that I've done it, I know that it's not hard. I'm trying to figure out how to make the next million. That's the game that I'm trying to figure out next. Like I'm not worried about 6 figures. 6 figures, I can teach anyone to make it. Like it's easy. Making $1 million, that's where my next jump is, and I'm trying to figure that out next. And I think I've figured it out. And that goes down to the branding and just multiplying yourself. And that's why like people don't realize that a lot of getting to that number is just like figuring it out. And that's all I'm doing is I'm just trying to figure it out. And you'll ask any successful person, nobody knows what they're doing. We're just all figuring it out. That's really what it comes down to. So it's just asking questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. I love it. And where are some of the places that people can get into contact with you if they got any questions?
I would say go on my Instagram and follow me at The Real Chris Morales. That's my Instagram. Or you can go on YouTube, Chris Mo Speaks. That's mostly like where you can find me. And then from there, I'm sure you can find all these other contacts.
Beautiful, brother. I appreciate it. And I'll definitely put everything in the description. So go check it out, guys. And thank you so much for your time, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, man.
It's Jacob Odell here, and thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed it and got some value out of it, please go share it with someone. They might need the exact same thing that you just heard, and it might change their life. You never know. So continue to listen and navigate the world through the business playground.